Hey lovelies, this is Janelle, the relationship coach behind The Successful Invisible. And I'm here today with another episode of Response and React, where comedian Ryan Davis weaponizes fatherhood against his 11-year-old daughter, all black child, when he was on the Shannon Sharpe podcast recently. And sadly, Shannon was he-heing and cackling right along with him. So in this clip, you have a grown man on a major platform saying his 11-year-old daughter, a true dependent on one's tax return, only wants him for what she can get from him. And the internet is not okay with him calling a child a gold digger. Now I'm here to clock the pattern and protect black women and girls from the mind games, because the way some black men dodge accountability and want to play in this game of manipulation because they're resentful of their responsibilities around parenting, they're resentful of the emotional labor and the financial, responsibilities that go with it, as well as they have a lot of internalized racism and misogynoir. Let's talk about it, because I believe this happens a lot more often than people want to give credit to, and it's something that you all need to clock if you see it in someone you're co-parenting with, and it's also a pattern you need to be very aware of if you're dating a man with children, and see if he exhibits any of these patterns. And if you want my full workbook on spotting provider resentment and co-parenting manipulation, you can find that through the paid version of my exclusive coaching community on Coffee. See the link below in the description box.
And my daughter went from I love my dad to let me see what I can get out of him. And when she started looking at me as access to like material things,
you were ATM. Now all of a sudden you weren't dad, you were an ATM.
Broke me. Because it was like, I only want to be around him if I can get something out of him.
So let me ask you this. Did you sit down and have a conversation? How did you come to the realization that it was, yes, this is my child, but my child only wants to be around me because of what the access that she has to things, perfume, jewelry, clothes, makeup, whatever the case may be, right?
It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking because it's like, it's heartbreaking because it's like, my daughter saved my life.
So y'all, I don't know who this comedian is, Ryan Davis, but to me, this interview is given, I want to be so deep. I want everybody to feel sorry for me. Like, sir, this must be your first time going through this parenting journey, because you said the little girl, 11 years old, sir, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse as she gets older. That's what kids do. And not saying that it's right or wrong, but especially little girls, they want everything. I have a daughter. I have a 13-year-old daughter. They think we are ATMs. They think money is made, like, falls from the trees. They think we can go in the basement and print off money all the time, because the amount of Shein list or whatever carts I get, the amount of text messages I get for Lululemon, the little extra small pocketbooks, Kurt Geiger's. You don't want to see what my daughter be asking for, because she think I'm an ATM. That don't mean that your daughter don't love you. She just wants stuff. They just want stuff because they see other kids with it. They see how the internet is making them think. The internet is making them think that they need all this stuff because it's trendy now. Sir, you was once a child. I'm pretty sure it was things that you wanted. There had to be things that you wanted. But to just go on here and say I was heartbroken when I realized my daughter was an ATM and she didn't want to be around me. I was so sad. First of all, what was your relationship before? Like, were you around her all the time? Did you always want to see her? Because kids catch on to that too. Like, dad don't call me, dad don't check up on me, so I'm gonna get what I want out of him too. If he want to see me, he got to give me something, because any other time he don't want to talk to me. Is that the issue? Because if that's not the issue, then she's a preteen. She's getting into that era, into that time where she wants everything she sees. So to say that you're heartbroken over your 11-year-old daughter starting to view you as transactional is stupid to me. Y'all let me know what y'all think, because whoop-de-doo. I guess all of us as parents should be crying right now because our kids all act the same way.
My daughter went from I love my dad to let me see what I can get out of here. And when she started looking at me as access to like material things,
You were ATM. Now all of a sudden you weren't dad, you were an ATM.
broke me.
Oh,
'Cause it
brother,
was
this
like,
guy
I only wanna be around
stinks.
him.
I don't feel sorry for this dude. Miss me with this boo-boo sob story. A child's supposed to ask you to buy them something. That's what kids do. She only, 11? She young. Like, what are we talking about? Like, I wish, like, again, we need a Thanos. We need Thanos to snap these goddamn, bro, take away all men's mouth. Every single man. I don't care. Like, just, boop. Everybody be in this mud like this. Because every time you dudes open up your mouth, you say something stupid. And for all you men agree, man, that's how I feel. Man, shut your soft behind up, boy. And go buy your kids some gifts.
This Ryan Davis situation, it's not uncommon. This is very common for black men. We were just talking about Todd and how he wanted his daughter to get it in the mud, even though Candy wanted to be more of a provider for her. Todd was okay accepting Candy's lavish gifts for himself, but he did not want those for his daughter. It also makes me think about even Shannon Sharpe, right? Shannon Sharpe, I remember, first of all, there's this conversation about him not wanting to give his daughter $25,000. But I also remember he did an interview with, I think it was Carisha, but it was a black woman, and he was talking about food stamps and welfare and all these things. Black men have an aversion to giving black women money. They have been indoctrinated to believe that giving black women and girls money it does something to their manhood. But these same men will be okay giving non-black women their money. Shannon Sharpe, who just paid his victim, I think they said $23 million. He is still, you can still see him on this app talking about going to the DR to exploit vulnerable women over there, which is passport bro mentality. So he's not opposed to giving women his money. He's just opposed to giving black women his money. And this is black women and girls. This is very common for black men. This is something that black men need to unpack. Black men are very comfortable giving their money to non-black women. But when it comes to black women and girls, whether it's their family, even their own biological children, they don't want to give money. And I've talked about this time and time, like before, like when I've crowdfunded in the past, very few black men have ever donated to my crowdfunding efforts. Very few black men. Black men that I even know personally will not donate money. Even, I remember a few years ago, like actually many years ago, I have a stepbrother, and he used to come and spend summers with us. And he's doing, at the time he was doing very well financially. There was like maybe 10, 15 years ago, he was doing very well financially. I was struggling as a single mom. I reached out to him, asked him for some help. And he was not comfortable giving me help. He was not comfortable helping me. And interestingly enough, around the same time, he was giving my dad, who was an adult man with no children, single adult man, he was comfortable giving him money, paying his rent, and my dad was an active alcoholic and an addict. And we all knew this. My brother was more comfortable giving my dad money than giving money to me, a struggling single mom raising his nephew. Black men have issues giving. I think it's a part of the socialization, indoctrination, and conditioning. There should be some studying done, but there is something very specific to black women and girls. Black men are not opposed to giving women money. Black men are opposed to giving black women and girls money. And like you have to think about it. It makes sense, right? Because the system is designed to keep black women at the bottom. If you don't recognize that, I'm not gonna help you unpack it right now. The system is designed to keep black women at the bottom, to keep black women the furthest away from privilege, opportunity, and access, right? And so how do you maintain that if men in general across the board make more money than women? So black men have the capacity to make more money than black women, but you want to ensure that those black men don't feel comfortable giving the money to the black women, because if black women were financially supported, then black women could do a lot more, right? So if you want to keep black women at the bottom and you want to make sure that black men who get money don't give black women money, what do you do? So I'd be wondering, like, how did the socialization, indoctrination, and conditioning happen? Like, what was it? And I don't know. I can't pinpoint a specific thing that shows, like, is an example of how black men were indoctrinated into this, what I call it sick trained, socialized, indoctrinated, and conditioned, sick trained into being like completely opposed to giving black women and girls money. How does that happen? I think part of it is they normalize this idea of black women constantly being scammers. Like when black women need something, I think about like the movie Deja Vu. There was on my other platform before I got banned, I used to ask this question, name the last time you saw a black man acting opposite of black woman in a loving way, or being protective of a black woman or girl, saving or protecting a black woman or girl. And Deja Vu used to be a movie that would come up all the time. No, I'm sorry, not Deja Vu, Out of Time. In that movie, Sanaa Lathan plays a woman who is sick and dying, and she convinces Denzel's character to steal some money only for him to later find out she was scamming, she was not sick, and she was not dying. That is the one movie people offer up as an example of Denzel protecting and saving a woman, but he doesn't really protect and save her because she's a scam artist. And they also do a lot to paint black women as gold diggers. And now they're doing it with black children, with black girls, in particular black girls. So is that how they did it? Is it the idea of black women being scammers or being gold diggers?
Hear me out, because what I'm about to say could be considered controversial. But if you don't want your daughter, or more specifically your kids, to look at you as the person that they could get things from, then who do you want them to look at? So for those of you who haven't seen the interview, the comedian Ryan Davis sat down with Shannon Sharpe, and he talks about how his relationship changed once his daughter started looking at him as someone that she can get things from.
My daughter went from I love my dad to let me see what I can get out of him. And when she started looking at me as access to like material things.
You were an ATM. Now all of a sudden you weren't dad, you were an ATM.
Broke me. Because it was like, I only want to be around him if I can get something out of him.
Now, I have two immediate thoughts. One is that she only wants to be around you if she can get things from you. That probably says something about you. That's number one. Number two is that it's normal for kids to look at their parents as the people who provide for them. That's not abnormal. But the only wanting to be around you if she can get something from you part is definitely about you and less about her. I'm also tired of Shannon Sharpe doing these interviews because he's not an actual interviewer, where he is biased and his biases show up and he starts agreeing with the person he's interviewing, especially because this is coming from someone like him who refused to help his daughter when she asked him for money. Like, I don't think this is the right platform for this.
Ryan Davis's comments about his 11-year-old daughter really shows how the dislike for women even happens while they are children. Like, it literally starts at birth. Like, if a man has an innate dislike for women, that means that he will not care for little girls or little babies either. Because what do you mean your 11-year-old is only using you for what you can give her? She's only asking you for things and she doesn't just love you. This is an 11-year-old. I have a 23-year-old and a 16-year-old, and I know they go to sleep every night thinking what they're gonna ask me for tomorrow. They're dreaming about what to ask me for next. Like, this is your 11-year-old. I'm so disgusted by these men. And then Shannon Sharpe is sitting there like,
so Ryan Davis went on the Shannon Sharpe show and unprovoked, mind you, proceeded to throw his 11-year-old daughter under the bus by saying that she only calls him now when she wants something, and that while she used to be a daddy's girl, now she's materialistic, and has essentially called his 11-year-old daughter a gold digger. Now, I'm not going to get into all of my thoughts on the matter because I'm hopping on a podcast with my girl Lil Lo to talk about it in depth, but one topic that I want to discuss based on this conversation is the way that some Black dads will escape their own accountability through the adultification of their daughters. And because instead of atoning for and taking responsibility for your role and why your daughter now only sees you as a wallet, you position it as it's her fault. You didn't do anything wrong. She just up and only wants you for your money and that's it. As if she's a grown-ass woman and not an 11-year-old child responding to the precedent you probably set. So you adultify her in your rationale for her behavior. You then proceed to go on as large of a platform as the Shannon Sharpe show to throw your child under the bus, but she cannot defend herself at the same time because she's a child, subjecting her to internet scrutiny as if she is not 11 years old. You positioning yourself as a victim to your 11-year-old child's behavior now has grown-ass men calling your child out her name in the comments of these videos. You want us to feel sorry for you, but in my humblest of opinion, any father who is willing to subject their child to that kind of scrutiny isn't a dad that I would consider a great dad. I'm just saying. Because you being more pressed about being viewed as a victim than protecting your daughter, no matter what the story is, very telling of your character and very telling of why she only sees you as a wallet. Wait to the podcast. Just wait to the podcast episode because my God. It's a lot of you all in the comments saying that I'm misinterpreting what he said, and I want y'all to know I've watched the portion of this interview more than once, and I heard what I heard, and I said what I said. Because explain to me, how is a father working to rebuild trust in his daughter, the trust that he destroyed, by going on a show and saying, my daughter went from, I love my dad, to let me see what I can get out of him? How is that rebuilding any trust? Quickly, how is he displaying the desire to want his child to trust him when he is positioning the conversation too much around her and not enough around him and his actions? This man knows how social media works. How is he regaining the trust in his daughter while simultaneously not protecting her and subjecting her to internet scrutiny? Quickly, holding yourself accountable for your actions is so much more than just saying it. It is also in your actions. And to me, a father trying to right his wrongs would not let the conversation surround his daughter that damn much. Instead of him talking about his daughter trying to get something out of him or wanting him for material things, the conversation should have been more about how, as fathers, they tend to make the mistake of over-prioritizing monetary providing and under-prioritizing emotional presence. If accountability were in the room with us, the conversation would have been about fatherhood and how your emotional presence is just as important, if not more important, than monetary presence. That should have been the conversation at hand. There should have been no approval of his child's picture being used. There should have been very little mentioning of his daughter. Y'all are saying I'm misconstruing things, and I heard things loud and clear. But see, to a lot of y'all, as long as you hear those right words out of a man, you're fine. Unlike y'all, that ain't enough for me. Because while he might have said the things y'all were looking for him to say, the actions he was doing in that interview showed a different story for me. Because this could have been a beautiful conversation about fatherhood and the importance and value in a father as being emotionally present and not just monetarily present, but instead we're arguing over his daughter. Why is that the case? Okay, thank you.
Man, that's level bowl of chocolate pudding. Ryan Davis gonna sit up there and say his 11-year-old daughter's relationship changed because she see him as transactional. Boy, she ain't got no job. What the fuck else she supposed to ask for shit? She ain't got no motion. She can't eyeball work. She ain't got the plug number. What the fuck she supposed to do? Ask him on stage or some shit? You the provider. How you mad you be looked at as the provider?
Another reason I am pro-choice, besides the fact that's a woman's body and she can do what she wants. Everybody does not need to be a parent. We grew up in a society where people just assumed you were going to grow up and everybody was going to have kids. And when you think about it, and you think about how many warped people are in the world, that's actually insane. So this is a great example. Here is somebody who did not do any inner work before they had kids. And if you are thinking about having kids, I highly suggest that you wait until you're in your 30s, because I do think you need to get space and time from how your parents raised you. I don't recommend having kids right away in your 20s, because you literally go from age 18 to your parents' influence to a couple years later of thinking about your life. You haven't figured anything out yet. You haven't been able to think on your own. Go to therapy. Spend your 20s in therapy so you can figure out if how your parents raised you impact you negatively and how to sort that out. But to this guy, he's saying that he feels his relationship with his daughter is transactional. And there's misogyny in there, because a lot of men feel like if women aren't giving them what they want, or girls aren't giving them what they want, the kind of validation that they want, whatever it may be, then anything that they're giving them is not worth it. And that's weird. And that's really weird to feel like that about your daughter. This little girl is 10. Your child did not ask to be here. Your child is supposed to ask you for things. You are supposed to provide things for your child. And it's not your child's job to make you feel loved. Now, unless there's something psychologically wrong with your child, if you are showing your child love, typically they will mirror that back to you. They're going to show love back how you teach them how to show love. But regardless of if they are showing you love or not, you still have to take care of them at least until they're 18. Like morally, I think you should for the rest of their life because, again, you chose to have them. But legally, at least until they're 18, it does not matter if you feel like they love you or not. That's your job that you signed up for. They did not ask to be here. So I think it's very weird that he doesn't feel loved by his child, because I don't think that his child would say that she does not love him, and that he feels that because she asked him for things, that their relationship is transactional, because asking for things is what children should do. And if your child can't ask you for things, who else are they supposed to ask them for? And so you have to unpack. You need to get deep down in yourself and figure out why you think as a grown man that your child needs to make you feel validated and loved for your relationship to be a reciprocal relationship versus one that's transactional. I don't feel like I can have a transactional relationship with my child because I already owe my son everything and he owes me nothing. Of course, there are things I would like for him to do and that he should do, but regardless, because I chose to have him and bring him here, it's my job to take care of him. It's my job to make sure he has both wants and needs met. Now, I think I do a good job of showing love and he mirrors love back. I do feel like my son loves me, but that's not a requirement for me to take care of him. There were times where he was a baby where he woke up over and over and over again, and all I was doing was taking care of his needs. And, you don't know that a baby loves you. You know a baby needs you. You kind of think that because we all project on people. But it's a pretty thankless job raising a baby in a lot of ways. But I didn't never feel like, oh, well, my son's just taking from me, because I chose to have a baby. And I didn't need for him to do something like show me love back to keep taking care of him. I did it because I love him and I had him. So he needs to figure that out. He needs to unpack that. That's an unhealthy thought process to have about your own child. And I don't expect much from Shannon Sharpe because I don't even watch his stuff. I caught this clip on Facebook because I don't support him anymore after what he did to that young lady because he's a creep. But other men need to start pushing back on their male peers when they say stuff like this. Like, bro, go to therapy for real, because why are you acting like your daughter is an unappreciative girlfriend and not your kid?
Telling the world that you feel like your daughter treats you like an ATM machine is crazy work. And to do it on a public podcast where it gets millions of views is even crazier. If you don't know what I'm talking about Ryan Davis. He was on the Shannon Sharpe podcast, and he was talking about his relationship with his daughter, where he feels like she only wants money and things for him. I don't know. Maybe she's acting like a child. What child doesn't ask for anything under the sun, and they don't care if their parents can afford it or not? Children do that. You have to instill them the value of money. Well, are you present enough to instill that in your daughter? Are you? Because this is not like a Dr. Simone situation where, like in Dr. Simone's situation, her kids are in their 20s, not thinking about the implications of how much money they spend and how much money they asking for their mama. We talking about a 10-year-old. This is different. And then for Shannon Sharpe to post the daughter's picture on the video as a background, are y'all not thinking about the daughter's safety? Or like just grown? Because people are weird on the internet. Grown adults are weird. Are y'all not concerned about her safety at all? Because somebody can hear them like, oh, you ain't treating your daddy right, and she's 10 years old and she has to face that now. Nobody was thinking about it. Next time, how about you go to a therapist, take your daughter with a therapist, work on this, instead of running your mouth to dimwit like Shannon Sharpe.
Let's jump into my favorite part of all of the content I post on YouTube, and that's just my thoughts, where I get to kind of express what I feel about whatever we have read or gone over. So let's get into it. If you're watching this thinking, okay, but how do I vet this in dating? My exclusive coaching community on Coffee has the exact list and scripts to help you do that. See the links below in the description. All right, let's jump into it. Now, y'all know how I like to do whenever I do these videos. I like to pull out 5 main points that I'd like to convey to you from a relationship coaching perspective so you can monitor, observe, beware of, or test for in someone you're currently dating or dealing with, or just knowledge for you to have going forward as you date with more intentionality. So let's jump into it. Point number 1, kids aren't transactional. They're responding to the relationship. So guess what? Big surprise. Kids ask for things. That's developmentally normal, okay? I can't even tell y'all how much I asked for stuff at 11. Hell, I'm in my 40s now and I'm fully able-bodied, grown, fully independent. When I want something big, I still don't have no problem calling my daddy. Like what? Because he's that dude. So the fact that this man who's grown as hell talking this yin-yang about his 11-year-old who is a true dependent who cannot work, and why wouldn't you want her to ask you for things? That's weird. She only calls when she wants something, is what he said, is often a sign of someone who is like low emotional safety or who's inconsistent in terms of presence with their child, not a child being bad. So the only reason she kind of treats him like this is because that is what he has established their relationship as being in her life. He even went on to say in a clip that she went from "I love my dad" to "what can I get out of him?" And there's zero self-reflection from him about why that may have shifted or why that is his perception of how their relationship has shifted. If he's not being consistent and truly just spending time with his child and is only making himself present in her life through sending her mother a child support check, that is on him. Research consistently finds that father involvement, being emotionally available and engaged, that's what father involvement means in this perspective, relates to better child outcomes and fewer behavioral problems. Public health guidance also emphasizes parent-child connectedness as a protective factor for youth well-being. So basically, he just needs to look in the mirror and really ask himself why this relationship, in his perception, seems to be that way. If you're a parent, ask, when did I stop being emotionally reachable, right? And if you're dating someone with a child, watch whether he labels normal needs as using him. That mindset shows up in romance too. And you really want to get clear early on, is he projecting some things that he may feel about his ex onto his relationship with this child? Is it truly something there that maybe needs to be explored in a family counseling setting? Whatever it is, make sure you truly understand and vet it out before you get attached. Because this is silly. This young lady is 11. She can't Venmo him love. Like he not making no sense. She can only reach for the tools she knows works. If the only time he shows up is with money, she's going to associate him with money. That's not her being a scammer. That's a child adapting. And for him not to realize that is simply foolish. Point number 2, adultifying girls is a character reveal. Him calling a little girl materialistic is a shaming way, and it's an adultification strategy. Adultification bias is very documented. Black girls are often perceived as older, less innocent, and more responsible than they are. And clock this T, it's not surprising that it's coming from a girl's own father, because black men willfully engage in misogynoir, and they don't care a damn about racism. As long as they don't feel they're being impacted by it, they don't care about perpetuating negative stereotypes about black girls and women. And he just proved that. Okay. And for him to use commentary to call an 11-year-old a user, that needs to be questioned. The Georgetown Law Center on Poverty and Inequality's work on adultification bias explains how black girls are more likely to be viewed as less innocent and more adult-like, which can reduce empathy and protection towards them. And we know that black girls and women are the least protected in society, right? So vet men by how they speak about girls, their daughters, their nieces, students, kids these days, whatever. Pay close attention to what he says, because he's going to reveal a lot when he doesn't think you're having a targeted conversation. A man who's harsh toward girls will be harsh toward women, just with bigger vocabulary. Also, be mindful that a man who's harsh toward girls that could be your spidey senses should also be going off, because that could be the inklings of a predator. Because why is he so harsh on girls? Is he this harsh on boys? Is he this harsh on other grown men? If it only seems to be one-sided, there's something to that. He's probably definitely misogynistic, a lot of misogynoir, and you need to clock that T and probably pivot away from him. The minute a man can demonize a little girl for having needs, that's not discipline. That's a lack of empathy. And baby, I don't build futures with men who lack empathy, and neither should you. So Ryan Davis basically showed his whole ass in this interview. And it's so telling that he, instead of dealing with these feelings in therapy, he did something in my mind that is humiliating to his child. Because now this baby got to wake up with all these people talking about her, because friends at school see her, friends' parents, watched this podcast and heard this. And that he created a very psychologically and potentially more unsafe space for his daughter to exist in, because him as a grown man, he has not dealt with his feelings about fatherhood, maybe his relationship with his mother, with the girl's mother, maybe with his own mother, whatever. But whatever he was dealing with, that was not the appropriate platform to do it. Point number 3, provider resentment is a red flag, romantically and in parenting. Okay, because this is a real thing. Some men equate providing with being controlled, used, or disrespected. Yet these are the same men who won't just be happily single and stay out of people's face. See, so they're very unserious. That resentment becomes punishment, withholding, shaming, power plays, everything that we saw here. So in the clip when he said, "You were an ATM, not a dad," instead of "I want to be closer to my daughter," that is so telling about his mindset about his own child. Father involvement research highlights that it's not just money, it's participation in child-related activities and consistent engagement that supports a child's well-being. And for him to make the statements that he did on Shannon Sharpe's podcast, it's kind of evident that he is not a very involved father, right? We don't know the reasons, but the fact is he's not, and he's resentful of having to provide money to support his own child, which is absolutely disgusting. A dating filter here is ask about a man's last relationship with giving his time, his money, his kindness. Does he keep score? Is he a man that would volunteer just out of the kindness of his heart with like an animal shelter, maybe an organization that helps the unhoused, maybe with a religious organization that he's a part of? Does he do anything like that to show that he is a man who has a giving spirit? That's important. That is a very important part of partnership. Not saying everybody has to do all the things, but if he can't name anything that he does to show that he isn't always centering himself, that's concerning. And a parenting filter here is to ask, if you're dating a man who has children, does he compete with his child's needs? Listen to the way he talks about his child's needs, especially on times with like going back to school, right? Or doing something big, Christmas time or something, or a birthday. Listen to what he says. And if he seems to be competing with a child's needs or a child's special occasion, that's very important. Here's the truth. A man who believes love is transactional will eventually accuse you of using him too. You'll ask for consistency and he'll call you demanding. You'll ask for effort and he'll say you're never satisfied. This all is a part of the same mindset, okay? Point number 4, publicly shaming your child is not vulnerability. It's unsafe. And I referenced that a little earlier. Him saying I'm just being honest isn't accountability if it exposes a child, a minor, to ridicule, right? Now, we don't know what that little girl is facing at school because he gonna go on a platform to do something like this, totally inappropriate. Accountability protects the vulnerable first. And he was putting his emotions and his ego and probably his internalized racism and misogynoir toward his own child above her safety. Huge red flag. Telling this story on such a huge platform, especially where she couldn't respond, well, telling it the way he did was irresponsible in the first place. It was very irresponsible. It was very emotionally immature. And it was not appropriate. But then doing it in an unsafe setting, doing it publicly, and basically his goal was to humiliate her, shame her, and demonize her. And she is a child. Understand that connectedness and emotional safety are protective. Public narratives that frame a child as the problem can undermine trust and closeness. And it can also really show you the type of character that man has. And I hope everybody that saw that really saw the type of dude he was. Because what man does that? What man who has any type of love or respect for his child does that? They don't. That's the answer. So a co-parenting boundary is, if you are currently co-parenting, make sure you let the person you're co-parenting with know that your child that you all have together, they are not content, because that child deserves safety and privacy. Now, if you're dating someone who has children, has a child or children, understand that if he weaponizes private family stories publicly, he will do it to you as well in terms of any relationship issues. And he will frame you as the villain, right? And you will always be the bad guy. That is not a safe man to date. Please exit stage left expeditiously. Remember, if your first instinct is to win sympathy from strangers, if a man's first instinct is to win sympathy from strangers instead of protecting like his child, that is very much a red flag, like slapping you in the face. Like, he is telling you exactly who he is, and you need to believe him, and you need to get away from him. Like I said. Point number 5, what healthy repair actually looks like. So in this case, and I'm curious to see how this actually plays out. I really hope his daughter is safe, and her mom is able to address this in a safe setting with a mental health professional or counselor who works with adolescents to repair that little girl's sense of safety, because he totally violated it. But repair is going to equal consistent presence plus emotional attunement plus clear boundaries around request, right? So it's not that he doesn't have these feelings, but he needed to go to the right place to handle them. But in terms of repairing his relationship with his child, that's what's going to have to happen. And they probably need to do it with a licensed mental health professional who understands and it specializes in these type of dynamics. Kids can learn gratitude and limits, without being labeled. And it could be, he didn't like the way she is for something. I am not defending this man. I'm just trying to think through any potential of why he would do that. But the point is, if he's only shown up in one way, then that's what she's going to think he is. That's his choice. But the relationship can be repaired if he wants to and if she's open to it, because, she may be like, oh, he want to be nasty like that. I don't really want to deal with him. Right? That is going to take time, and hopefully the right professional can be a part of that, and privately they can repair it. Right? So, and instead of repair language in this clip, we got a lot of victim language, right? Research and family development summaries note children benefit when fathers are available, engaged, and responsive to needs. This supports behavior, relationships, and well-being. So some of the actions that Ryan Davis can take to repair his relationship with his daughter, if he wants to, is start really using a repair script, right? Like, I miss you. I want to know you, not just buy you things. Let's make a plan. One fun thing, one talk time weekly. You know what I mean? He can start setting the precedent and laying the foundation of what he would like their relationship to be, on top of course, paying his child support and financially supporting his child, because that's his responsibility. But if he wants other things out of their relationship, he has to set the groundwork for that, right? In a healthy and consistent way. And then he can also say, like, and when you want something, ask, then we'll decide together, especially if it's a bigger thing. There is a way for him to go about this in changing that dynamic. If it's truly a problem and he wasn't, exaggerating, but that's his perception, that is wholesome, healthy, and not going to harm anyone. But he chose violence with this, what he did on Shannon Sharpe. Remember that, your child doesn't need to be perfect. Like, no child is perfect, but his child does need him to be present. And if him as a grown man, if he's competing with her for emotional power or whatever, he really needs to heal that. And here's a bonus thing that from watching the TikToks on this, all of the backlash, it seems that he is now partnered or married to a white woman, or at least a non-black woman, and he now has non-black children. And I think there's a lot of maybe self-hatred that's going on there, because why are you attacking your all-black daughter who's 11? Do you see her as an adult or a grown woman? Are you mad because she looks like you? Like, it's very weird. And I do think a lot of black men feel this way. And this goes to my point. You really have to watch who you procreate with, because I'm sure his daughter's mother did not think that this is where they would end up. But lo and behold, now he has a little success and a little money, and now he got his trophy, this non-black woman, and has these, what do people call them? Exoticals, kids. So now you're going to try and actively cause harm to your all-black child? How dare you? That needs to be confronted. And I really need more black men to confront black men who do this, because men live and die for the approval of other men. If it wasn't an acceptable thing for them to do, they would stop doing it. But anyway, these are my thoughts about this one. Some tips, some tricks that I believe will help you all navigate your dating scenes if you have a child, or if you're dating someone with a child, to be just more effective and happier overall, and just use more discernment in who you deal with. All right, loves. If you've ever dated a man who resents giving, keeps score, or talks about women and girls like they're users, clock it early, because it never stays contained to one relationship. It spreads into co-parenting, money, affection, everything. If you want my full pattern awareness workbook with scripts, checklists, and red flag questions to ask before you get attached, the free mini version is in the description, and the full package is inside my coffee coaching community. That's where we do the real work. Standards, discernment, strategy, the works. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. And tell me, have you ever heard a man blame a child for his own emotional absence?